All right, so are you ready to dive into what really motivates people?
Always. I love this stuff.
This is going to be good, I can tell. You're never going to guess where we found this.
I love a good mystery. Lay it on me.
Okay, so we're talking motivation, right? But the source, a Dutch online bookstore.
Okay, now that's a curveball. I wasn't expecting that.
Right, you'd never think.
Never. Okay, but bookstores, especially online ones, they've got everything.
True. Okay, but hold on. It gets better. This isn't just any bookstore page. It's the one for Daniel Pink's Drive.
Oh, Drive. Now that is a book that gets people talking. I see it everywhere.
Exactly. And the way they're talking about it, you just know it's got to be good.
Totally. And honestly, the title alone, Drive, it just cuts to the chase, you know?
No messing around, right?
Yeah.
So should we tell them where it landed on the bestseller list?
Oh, definitely. It's holding strong, which tells you something right there. People are really resonating with Pink's message.
They are, and get this, it's currently sitting at, drumroll please, number 51.
Wow, number 51. It's not every day a book about motivation climbs that high.
Seriously, I mean, that's saying something, right? So what's the big secret? What's Pink's take on motivation?
Well, he throws out the old carrot and stick idea completely.
Oh, no more carrots and sticks, but that's classic motivation 101, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But Pink says it's all about three things: autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
Okay, hold on. Autonomy, mastery, purpose. It sounds good, but what does that actually mean? Break it down for us.
Basically, Pink says we're all driven by wanting control over our own lives, getting really good at something, and feeling like our work actually matters.
So it's like that feeling you get when you're totally absorbed in a project, you lose track of time, and it doesn't even feel like work.
Exactly. It's about tapping into that internal drive. And here's the kicker. The book description mentions companies enlisting new approaches based on all this.
New approaches. Okay, now I really want to know more. Spill the tea. What kind of companies? Give us the details.
I know, right? Unfortunately, the excerpt doesn't say exactly who, but it does mention scientists and entrepreneurs are getting on board, so.
Scientists and entrepreneurs. Okay, now that is an interesting mix. You've got me hooked. What are they figuring out?
Right. It makes you wonder what they're discovering about how this whole autonomy, mastery, purpose thing actually works in the real world.
It's like we've been going about this motivation thing all wrong, and now there's this whole new way of looking at it.
And the excerpt even mentions a surprising truth about motivation.
A surprising truth. Oh, come on. You can't just leave us hanging like that. Spill it.
I know, right? It's like a little teaser. But it makes me think Pink isn't just tweaking the edges of what we already know about motivation. He's suggesting something totally different.
It makes you think, are we missing out by clinging to these old ideas? What if Pink's onto something huge?
That's what I'm wondering. What if he's cracked the code on something truly groundbreaking?
I mean, it's like we're so busy trying to force motivation to happen that we forget to tap into what people naturally want anyway.
Totally. Like trying to force a square peg into a round hole. It's never going to work long term.
You can lead a horse to water, right? But you can't make it drink. I think that's what Pink is getting at.
100%. It's all about that internal drive. And you know what else? Pink actually backs up his ideas with a ton of research, like from psychology and even neuroscience.
Oh, wow. So this isn't just like some feel-good philosophy. There's actual science involved.
Oh, yeah. He's got the data to back it up. It's fascinating stuff, like how our brains actually react to different rewards and things like that.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. I mean, it makes you wonder, why aren't more companies using this? If it works so well, why isn't everyone on board?
Well, you know, change is hard.
Yeah.
Especially in the workplace. People get used to doing things a certain way.
And it's way easier to just promise someone a bonus or something than to actually figure out what really motivates them.
I think you're onto something. It's like we're so used to those quick fixes that we forget about the long game.
It's like, yeah, you could eat candy for every meal, but it's not exactly a recipe for success, is it?
Exactly. It's all about finding that sustainable, fulfilling kind of motivation that benefits everyone in the end.
You know, it's interesting. This excerpt we found, it's actually from a Dutch website.
Really? From the Netherlands?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, do Pink's ideas resonate differently in different cultures?
It's a fascinating question. But, you know, the fact that his book is popular there, even though it's written in English, tells you something right. It must strike a chord somehow.
Like maybe those core desires, autonomy, mastery, purpose, They're universal.
Right. It's like no matter where you are in the world, everyone wants to feel like their work matters. They want to get better at what they do and have some freedom to make their own choices.
That's a recipe for a good job anywhere in the world, right?
For sure. And you know what else? Pink doesn't just stop at work. He talks about applying these ideas to like everything, education, relationship.
Wait, really? So it's not just about work, it's about like living a more fulfilling life in general.
Exactly. It's like he's saying these principles of motivation, they can be applied to anything you're passionate about.
Wow. Now that's something to think about. This is way deeper than I was expecting when we started this deep dive. It's really kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, right? Like we all have this potential just waiting to be unlocked.
Totally. It's like Pink's giving us the key to a whole new level of living or something.
But okay, let's get real for a sec. It's easy to talk about autonomy and mastery and all that, but how do we actually like make it happen in our own lives?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
Well, Pink actually gives a ton of practical advice and drive. But one thing that really stood out to me was this idea of aligning your actions with your values.
Oh, I like that. So like figuring out what's truly important to you and then making sure your choices actually reflect that.
Exactly. Like, what are the things that get you fired up? What are you naturally drawn to? Those are clues. And then it's about finding ways to bring more of that energy into your everyday life.
So it's about being intentional, not just going through the motions, but actively seeking out things that light you up.
100%. And don't be afraid to start small. You know, even little things like learning a new skill or taking on a challenging project at work. Those things can make a huge difference.
It's about constantly pushing yourself, right? Finding those opportunities to grow and master new things.
Totally. And the cool thing is when you start focusing on those things, on what really matters to you, you naturally start attracting more of it into your life.
It's like you're putting out that energy and the universe is like, okay, here's some more of that. You got it.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true. And the best part is when you're living in alignment with your values and pursuing your passions, it doesn't even feel like work, you know?
It's like that feeling you get when you're so absorbed in something, you totally lose track of time. That's the good stuff.
Exactly. That's what Pink's talking about. It's about finding that flow state in everything you do, whether it's your job, your hobbies, your relationships.
It all comes back to that idea of purpose, right? Like knowing why you're here and what you're meant to do with this one precious life.
You nailed it. And you know what I love about this whole conversation? It's such a refreshing change from the usual work harder, be better narrative.
Right? It's not about forcing ourselves into some predefined mold. It's about embracing our individuality and figuring out what truly makes us tick.
And then having the courage to go after it, to create a life that's both meaningful and fulfilling on our own terms.
This deep dive has been a wild ride. Who would have thought a random book excerpt from a Dutch online bookstore could spark such a deep conversation?
Right. I love how these things happen. It just goes to show that inspiration can be found in the most unexpected places.
It definitely keeps things interesting, that's for sure. So, to our amazing listeners out there, remember, you have the power to design a life you love.
Don't be afraid to chase those dreams, embrace those passions, and never stop exploring what makes you come alive.
That's a wrap on another deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay motivated, and keep those brains buzzing.